Hi everyone, Jarrod Nickel, Executive Director of Project COE here, and today I'm going to take a look at Fable 2 for the Xbox 360. Fable 2 is sort of disjointed from the original Fable in that you don't really need to have played the original in order to get the most out of Fable 2. The story takes place in Albion, with you selecting either a male or female character, and you begin with the character at a very young age, a child in fact. Something happens during your childhood that will cause you to want to seek out the great evil in the world and destroy it. But you can't do this alone. You're going to need the help of 3 additional hero characters, which are going to play a crucial role in bringing about this destruction of this great evil. And that's about basically as complex as the story gets. Now, I know it's nothing to write home about, but then again, neither was the original Fable. Like the original Fable, Fable 2 uses the expression system instead of a deep conversation system like you would find in Mass Effect. What that means is, when non-playable characters start speaking to your character, you won't actually reply to them in spoken dialogue. Instead, what you'll do is give gestures such as a thumbs up, blow a kiss, things like that. Now, I can't stress this enough, this game is downright hilarious. Alright, if you've played the original Fable, you'll know what I mean. You can marry people, you can have a child, you can even partake in an orgy. Yes, that's right, an orgy. It's quite messed up, but then again, so is Lionhead Studios, the developer behind the Fable series. Now, something that's been quite improved upon is the amount of gestures that you can do in Fable 2. But one thing that sort of hasn't been taken to the next degree, if you want to call it that, is the way characters will react to your expressions. They're still very one-dimensional. What that means is, let's say you're playing as a very evil character, you go in a village and slaughter everybody, you can still actually make people love you simply by dancing around like a fool. And that seems kind of odd. The other thing that's kind of unbalanced is the fact that it is so easy to become an evil character and yet so difficult to become a good character. As a matter of fact, you could probably become like almost like the devil within a few hours. But if you want to become, for example, say like a saint, that's going to require you to play just about the entire game, which again feels really unbalanced. A new aspect to the game that we really enjoyed was the dog. The dog is basically, you know, man's best friend. What the purpose of the dog, though, is actually to help you locate just areas you haven't explored before. You can actually assign the dog to be your sort of like lead for quests, although I barely ever use that function. Most of the time, though, he just runs ahead and will find treasure for you or little spots in the ground that you can use a shovel and dig up. What's really good with the dog is that you can teach him a whole bunch of tricks. In fact, some of the achievements are specifically for the dog. And again, you use the expression system for the dog, so you can tell him good boy, bad boy, etc. What's really interesting with this system is that the dog will actually become as good or as evil as you are. So think of that. It gets kind of neat. The battle system, for the most part, is pretty simple to use. You have a ranged attack, you have a melee attack, and a magical attack. You hold down the right trigger to absorb these little orbs that enemies drop when you manage to kill them. And once you suck up enough orbs, you're able to level yourself up. Now, you have full access over all of your different abilities when you level up. In other words, you can decide that you want to become a very physical attacker, or you can, you know, level up all your magic to become like almost like a sorcerer. But to be really honest, it doesn't really matter what you do, because there's no real penalty for dying. All that happens is that you scar yourself, you get knocked out, and then you just whoop, you come back to life and let's go. And you start right there. It's not as bad as Too Human. Oh, who can ever forget that ridiculously long cutscene when you died? But it sort of feels the same way in the sense that there's just no penalty for dying other than getting scarred up. But if people love you, if you're going for like sainthood, then it doesn't really matter, you know? It doesn't really make that much of a difference. That's about all she wrote in terms of gameplay. What you have to understand is this isn't the type of game that you just play through the story. This is the type of game that you actually physically change the way the game not only acts, reacts, but also the way it looks. if you do something bad when you're a child, it will actually change this one town when you go into it in the future. Just little things like that, they play a major role on your sort of obsession with Albion. And I'm hoping I'm pronouncing that right. But it's just, it's not quite like anything else on the market, just like the original Fable was. It's got a distinct European humor to it, and it's got a look all of its own. Speaking of looks, it looks quite nice. There's lush environments, you've got some spectacular weather effects, the water in particular looks quite detailed. Characters animate a little sluggish by today's standards, but, you know, it's not bad. A lot of the buildings and the towns and stuff are really, really detailed. I mean, this is definitely your above average looking game. There's no question about that. The only problem is, though, that there are quite a number of graphical glitches that pop up. For example, there's pop-in, there's a couple clipping issues. Occasionally, you can like walk through different like mountainsides, ranges, all kinds of weird little things like that. As for the audio package, our own Ahmad Mosley would be very, very pleased with this. It's orchestrated, but it's orchestrated sort of in a way that makes Lord of the Rings feel European, if that makes any sense. It's got an orchestrated soundtrack with distinct European elements to it. All the voice acting's European. All of it's quite humorous. Again, unfortunately, your main character doesn't say a word, but the non-playable characters more than make up for it, albeit they are a little bit repetitive with some of the things they say. Now, I mean, for the most part, this has been a glowing review. Really, I haven't had much to complain about. I mean, the story hasn't been amazing, but like I said, there are other areas more than make up for it. Well, now you're going to have to hear me complain for a bit. We have had a lot of readers email in saying that they've experienced all sorts of bizarre bugs and glitches. In fact, we've heard of quite a number of game-breaking glitches. A game-breaking glitch is essentially a glitch that occurs and can be repeated that basically makes it so that you cannot progress in the game any longer. And unfortunately, we have to report that one happened to us during the Hero of Skill quest, which is right towards the end of the game. And now this is really unfortunate and really annoying for us at COE here, because we were unable to complete the game. What essentially happened was we left a conversation too early, left the building, and the door slammed on us. Once that happened, the game thought that we were still in our conversation, but we could not get back in to finish the conversation, and as such we couldn't do anything. So we were just stuck sort of in limbo. Now, we've been told that there are a minimum of 4 game-breaking glitches, and there could be as many as 9. Microsoft apparently has told us that they're hard at work at fixing these glitches, but we gotta really, you know, it begs the question, how is this game released with all of these glitches? Now, unfortunately, because of these glitches, I've had to award the game an 8 on 10. I would have loved to have given it a higher score, but the truth is, I cannot give scores that that just don't feel right. And in this case, for everything good the game does, the fact that it managed to break on us is pretty bad. I know some people will disagree with our score, but we have to write reviews based on the retail versions on a day one release. And as it is right now, Fable 2 is a game that you should certainly look into it, but we would highly recommend you wait until all the glitches are fixed. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon.